What is lawn winterizer, and should you do it, or should you have it applied on your grass, on your lawn? Uh, Short answer is that it is a type of fertilizer. Um, exactly what kind of fertilizer is it? That depends on how many people you ask. That's how many answers you'll get. But just think fertilizer when you think lawn winterizer. Um, should you? Let's say what it's not. It's not pre-emerge, weed control pre-emerge, preventing weeds from emerging. That's not winterizer. You do need that. You do need lawn pre-emerge in the fall, getting ready for the winter, getting ready for the cool season weeds, because there's a flush of warm season weeds, a flush of cool season weeds. I can't remember what I just said. Flush of warm season, flush of cool season. So there's two flushes of weeds. So you do want to prevent those, but that's not what we're talking about. When we talk about winterizer, we're talking about fertilizer. And so the next question, and I'm going to give the short answer, long answer. Short answer is, do you need winterizer? That depends on, do you see a lack of vigor, of turf vigor? Like, is it just not as green as you want it to be? One thing to remember in the fall, especially after a dry period, it's not going to be as green as it normally is in other times of the year. So don't just think that just because, September, October, it's not really green that you need it. That's not what I'm saying. But, back in the summertime when everything should have been green and lush, was it not? Because that could be a sign that you do need fertilizer. Does it have to be a winterizer? Does it have to be applied in the fall, getting ready for the winter, hence winterizing? No, but you can. So the two things, too quick on the short answer is, do you see a lack of turf vigor when it shouldn't lack in vigor? And do you have a soil test showing that you need a certain type of special fertilizer, whether that's, fertilizer, it comes in an analysis of three numbers: nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. A lot of people are familiar with triple 13, 13% nitrogen, 13% phosphorus, 13% potassium. And so the soil test can tell you how much of those you need if you're seeing some kind of special issue, but that's the short answer. Um, and just again to restate it, typically no, especially not in central Mississippi. Our soils are really good. We have a lot of different nutrients, ample nutrients. Obviously, yes, there's some yards that need some extra help, especially more than others, but we don't do winterizer, just because really the main reason is because two of my mentors who've been doing it for a decade, over one even over 4 decades, they advised me not to, because they could never see differences in the yards they put it out versus the ones that they didn't. And so obviously that's always with the caveat, though, anytime you're in agriculture, like, you can't just make one broad statement that covers all yards, but in general, it's just most of the time not as economical or financially advisable, recommended, bang for bang, buck for buck, getting the most bang for your buck. And so anyway, I hope that helps. But long answer. Let's for those of you who really want a more drawn out explanation, remember the barrel illustration video. If you do a YouTube search for the words barrel illustration, those two words, it should come up for watering your lawn, or you can go and look at our different videos in our playlist and get familiar with that whole concept. But the basically is trying to help you to understand that anytime you're trying to grow something, grow a plant, there's different factors, and each slat of the barrel represents one of those growth factors. And so if a particular nutrient, or hence fertilizer, is lacking, then yes, that can help the plant to grow better, specifically your grass. But if a soil test or just your own eyes can show that that's not needed, then no, you don't need to put out any kind of special fertilizer on your grass. But again, if you do a soil test and it does show that, yeah, you need a lot of phosphorus or a lot of potassium, then there's reason to consider doing something. But again, it doesn't have to be done in the fall. One big, whole nother part of this conversation is cool season grasses. People from Tennessee going northward, most of the country, they put a lot of emphasis on winterizing and getting ready, because their cool season grasses grow in the cool weather. And so they do need nitrogen and other nutrients, at least more than what we need, because our grass shuts down. You know, around the end of September, our warm season grasses, Bermuda grass, zoysia grass, St. Augustine grass, centipede grass, they no longer grow once you get into the fall, and especially through the winter and even into part of the spring. It's just there. It might be green during some of those times, but it's not growing. And so we really don't want to give nitrogen, which the main point of nitrogen is to focus on plant growth. We don't want things to try to grow. You'll make weeds to grow if you put out something that has a lot of nitrogen in it. Disease also uses nitrogen and will make the disease worse. So we really avoid it. We don't do it. That's not to say, again, that nobody should. But hopefully that helps you to understand maybe why that's so talked about, and why so many people think they have to have it is because most of the country does or could benefit more from it than what we benefit from. And so, you know, last thing I think I'll touch on is on bushes. That's a whole nother category. Their root system is different. Their growth pattern is different. The times of year when they grow. And so, you know, that really needs a whole nother video dedicated to fertilizing bushes. And I'm not going to go into that on this video. So if you do want to know more about it, comment and I'll be glad to send you some information or talk to you about it, especially if you're one of our customers, if you're ever interested in more of that. But be looking out in the future for a video on fertilizing shrubs. That's all for now on winterizing your yard. I hope that helps, and get a soil test when in doubt. Have a good one.